Longevity Lifestyle Designers, this is Zach here at secretsoflongevity.com. Today is day number 54 on my raw food bodybuilding program, and as always it's going fantastic, and nothing too drastic or important to share really. Been a regular sort of week, making strength gains, making weight gains, and forget when I guess the next weigh-in will be next week, I believe. I'll also have that body fat percentage measurement by that time as well. It seems to be very difficult to get that organized for some reason at my gym, but I definitely have an appointment already set up, and let's hope they'll actually have the room available that has the machine to do that. Anyways, just today I was doing a leg day, and I was doing leg press, and I was doing 12 reps 4 times of 260 pounds, and I actually didn't even have to decrease the number of reps or even lower the weight. I guess just because the legs have such a good ability to adapt to during the workout and take heavier loads, even though they might be getting more fatigued. There seems to be reserves that are coming out of nowhere, at least for my body. My legs have always been my strong point. That's probably due to 15 years of soccer playing, and then also martial arts and doing heavy amounts of kicking in that martial art. Later got into a different style of martial art. It wasn't heavy on the kicking, but had a lot of movement with the legs. So as much as the legs can be sort of a mental block for some people, and it can be for me too, because it's there's probably the aesthetic side to it that one looks forward to doing with the upper body, because you can really sort of look at yourself in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm so big and strong. But yeah, I do enjoy training my legs, and I do it twice a week, and in the future I'm going to share more about the finer details of the training program, of course. What I wanted to talk today was largely about the longevity enhancing benefits of strength training, and just sort of why, in my opinion, it's the best type of external exercise that you can do if you're looking to increase your lifespan and your overall health. A lot of people are really heavy on cardio, and by all means, if that's your thing, keep doing it. You have to do what you're passionate about when it comes to exercise, because if you're not, you're going to eventually drop it, because it becomes just a boring work time as opposed to recreation, which is what it should be. I actually do prefer to call strength training my strength practice, or anything other than a workout, because work intends that it's, at least to our knowledge of our language, usually when most people use that word, it means something that they're not overly looking forward to doing. So that's just sort of an LNP thing you can adapt into your own program if you're wanting to sort of shift the perception you have of exercise. And if you have problems with doing exercise because it feels like work, you can start to think of it as a practice. You're training your body to do something. You know, perhaps you're not a martial artist, perhaps you're not an athlete, but you want to do your beauty practice, and part of your beauty practice is making your body look good, and one of that ways of doing that is to exercise, because that's going to help it keep and stay looking good. So whatever you label you adopt yourself as, whether it's a yogi, a martial artist, endurance athlete, strength athlete, or maybe you just like fashion and you consider yourself an attractive person, you want to make that your art and make your personality and your what you portray out there as your art, or at least it is a form of art, being able to create yourself in a way that you want to share with the world, and that's your way of communicating creativity to people. Then you can adopt an exercise practice and change this idea of turning into a practice as opposed to a workout, and link it in your mind with that activity, so that's not just like, I'm going to the gym because I know I have to. So for me, my longevity practice is, right now, it's bodybuilding. In the past, it's been other forms of strength training. And in my opinion, for the purpose of longevity and overall health, strength training is the best thing you can be doing. And I'll explain why, and actually, not that I'm anti-endurance training or cardio, but I'll explain why that can be covered by other things, and I'll probably start with that actually. In many people's eyes, cardio is sort of like the penultimate form of exercise that is the best for your overall health, because it's often associated with cardiovascular health. But if we really start to look at the various benefits of cardio, we can actually start to attribute other forms of activities that can replace that. Not that you necessarily want to do that, but that's just gives you an option if you don't want to do cardio as to how you can get those benefits from other things. So number one, I'm going to talk about sweating. Obviously, when you're doing a cardiovascular workout that's over half an hour, you're going to be sweating quite a bit, and it's detoxifying, and this is a good benefit to it. It's releasing toxins from the lymph system. However, you can easily get this from other forms of exercise, whether it's hot yoga, sort of more intense strength training. Most bodybuilding programs, at least the ones I'm following, I don't actually work up a big sweat unless I'm doing, like I did today, a leg day, and I really keep it to only 1 minute in between exercises. The longer you leave in between the exercises, the less likely you're going to build up much of a sweat. But endurance strength training, of course, is also going to work up quite a bit of sweat. So if you're doing like as many push-ups as you can do, followed by dips, followed by chin-ups, followed by muscle-ups, you're going to be working up a sweat, and that's going to be very great for your lymph system and detoxifying your body. The other way you can get the benefits of sweating is by going in a sauna, whether it's a steam or far infrared sauna. Obviously, in my opinion, the best option there is the far infrared. Usually, you're going to have to purchase one yourself, and this is actually even superior to cardiovascular training because with far infrared, you're actually killing off any pathogens that might be near or in the surface of your skin, and it's actually got a greater ability to detoxify heavy metals. So that's because it's actually getting the fat to start releasing its toxins into your lymph system, which is then expelling it out. Studies that compare far infrared to steam saunas shows that far infrared you can stay in longer for one, so you can actually get better penetrated by the heat, and because they heat you up from the inside out, you're getting these toxins out in greater quantities than just steam sauna or just cardiovascular activity. Another big benefit of endurance training generally is that it pumps your lymph system to various degrees. Now you can get these same benefits from walking. If you need to do errands, you can get some walking in several times a week. Bouncing on a rebounder, and this is probably even more superior to that. Self-massage or having other people massage from you, this is actually probably the most superior way of moving the lymph system. Having talked with people who specialize in lymph drainage, they are quite well acquainted with how the lymph system works, and any sort of exercise and just basic movement only moves the lymph system up to 15% of what it needs to be moved by. So if you've ever done sort of like just gone like this on your face and you feel like almost something drain at the back of your throat, or sometimes if you rub back here you'll feel that same feeling, this is your lymph system starting to flush. And I'm not aware of all the different points you need to work on, but there's different directions you need to sort of brush and massage your body, and it's very lightly because you're not actually working the muscle tissue. The lymph system is between the skin and the flesh, underneath the skin, and it really only takes very light pressure. So for instance, on the face, if you were to just do this and come down around the mouth like this and then up, I believe the drainage point is by the ear, so you push up from the chin and then down like this, and you can actually sort of, depending on how blocked up you are, you can sometimes feel things moving. And so that's one way of moving the lymph as well. And in my opinion, everyone should be engaging with touch on themselves, whether you want to or not. It's a very beneficial sort of thing. If I'm out and about, I'm always at some point usually touching something on my body to, I have sort of an ache here, I'm massaging myself. Not obviously in situations where it's improper to do that. But not many people are very connected with their body in that way. They don't know or haven't figured out where the pressure points are on their own body, and that's something I highly recommend doing. You can simply find online charts by just searching that if you're interested in that. Another big one with cardiovascular exercise is that it's obviously toning the heart. However, when you're doing cardio workouts, you're raising the heart rate up, and it's being sustained at a certain level for a long period of time. And in my opinion, this is better than not doing any exercise. It's going to be toning your heart and getting it prepared for a large shock that can't come later in life, whether it's from a stressful situation or whatever's going to cause your heart rate to suddenly spike like that, that if your heart's really weak, you could end up causing a heart attack for you. But if you're really interested in really preventing heart attacks, the absolute best thing to do is interval training. And I've got a video about this that I'll post here at the end of the video that I've done in the past that talks about why interval training is superior to cardio, or long-range cardio. And in my opinion, that is sort of a form of strength training because you're doing a really hard, full-out burst of exercise, and then you're taking a break for 2 or 3 minutes. Then you're doing that hard burst again. So an example of this is like hill sprints, and that's what I do in the video. that you can click the link to right on the video page here at the end of this video. So if you think of that hard burst of full body movement, whatever it may be, you know that your heart rate is going to shoot right up there very quickly. You're going to be really conditioning the heart to withstand those high jolts, and in the long run it's going to condition your heart to be able to withstand heart attacks, because a heart attack is a sudden jolt of surprise or shock or stress that causes the heart to stop beating, basically. So if your heart can take really high stress really suddenly and at a very high level, then you're conditioned for that, then you're not going to be anywhere near as susceptible to heart attacks later on in life. And the other problem with cardio is that extreme long distance cardio actually has, in many examples of studies, shown to weaken the heart. And there have been a number of runners who have dropped dead literally while out on runs. And again, if this is your passion, I think there's a number of safeguards you can follow to prevent this. But that's just something to take into account, that there isn't exactly longevity of life that's associated with long distance cardio, like doing ridiculous amounts of 200 miles on a bike or 3 marathons in a day, etc. So this ultra cardio has absolutely no correlation with increased longevity. But yes, you're fit, you can do that. It's a great thing to tell people, but it's a pretty extreme form of exercise. Humans really have never done that. In the instances of hunter-gatherers that have, at certain times in remote areas of the world, chased down prey, it's a very light jog. It's not in the format of competition, although they are trying to get a prey for their own subsistence. But it's a group of hunters that go out and they trade off running. They have periods of walking because they're trying to tire out an animal and they're just chasing after it. But in my opinion, this isn't the best form of exercise for health and longevity. And of course, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the oxygenation of cardio. So when you're breathing a lot, as you are in cardio, you're obviously really oxygenating cells. This is probably the best thing that can come from cardio. And it's a great way to get it if you choose to do that. The oxygenation can come from a variety of places. When you're doing any form of exercise, you are oxygenating your cells. Again, cardio would be the best because it's for a long period of time. However, you can do that from doing pranayama type exercises in yoga, deep breathing, eating raw foods rich in oxygen, setting up a lot of green plants in your home so that you have an oxygen-rich environment that you're living in, which is really good, and most homes should have this, just because homes become very oxygen depleted compared to the outside. And once again, other forms of exercise like strength training, interval training, and even meditation, where you are just relaxing and becoming more aware of your breath. You're getting a lot of oxygen into your body and your bloodstream that way. And I didn't mention it, but the benefits of oxygen are that it destroys a lot of pathogens, fungus, and other things in the body. So high levels of this are beneficial, and also helps suppress and eradicate cancer cells. So oxygen deficient bodies are not healthful bodies, and we do need plenty of oxygen in our bloodstream. So to get onto the benefits of strength training, the first thing that comes to most people's minds is muscle mass. So when you have strong muscles and enough muscle mass, and you're able to carry this on into later life, you're going to have much less likelihood of falling down and breaking something. So if you have the strong leg muscles that you can get up off the floor, you're much less likely to fall down, obviously, and if you do fall down, you're going to be able to get back up again. Shown quite well in studies of the Okinawans, in the book The Blue Zones, for instance, where they noticed that a lot of these elder Okinawans, which is the pocket in the world that has the highest rates of longevity, the highest number of centenarians per capita, most of the older people still follow the tradition of eating and drinking on the floor, or rather, they're sitting on the floor. They have low tables, and so when they get up off the floor, they're getting up off the floor. You have to use your hands, your legs, and you stand up. And they do this many times per day. They're up and down off the floor, and this is a great way to just have lower body strength simply through daily activity. Now, through strength training, if you have a lot of muscle mass, you're more likely to maintain high levels of androgens in the body, which are definitely longevity-enhancing hormones. And if you have low muscle mass and these hormones drop as you get older in life, it kind of works against you in both ways. Having low muscle mass will cause testosterone and other things to drop, and having low testosterone will cause muscle mass to decrease. So most people lose muscle mass as they get older, when it's very imperative that they maintain it and even build it into their senior years. So if you think about it, almost everyone, minus the people who die of a sudden heart attack, but in a sense this is going to fall into the same category, or a sudden accident, or they die in some way that doesn't involve this, but pretty much everyone dies of lack of muscle tissue. So if you imagine someone that's sick, they're elderly, they're in bed, they're becoming more and more frail. If you've ever seen someone sort of degenerating with cancer, you know exactly what I mean. Their muscle mass completely goes by the wayside, they become skin and bones, and they eventually die. But they don't die of the disease necessarily, they die because they can't get out of bed. They've lost so much muscle mass that they can't support their own body weight, and gravity takes over and they just die. Yes, they're going to have organ failure, etc., but if you don't have the muscle tissue to get up out of bed, you can't keep the circulation up, which keeps the nutrients flowing to the areas of the body that would help regenerate you and help you recover from any diseases you get. And of course, when you have a heart attack, that's going to be the failure of a muscle tissue, and that's your heart. The other thing is you're going to be less likely to have injuries such as to your back and other parts of your body, your shoulders, basically anywhere in your core. If you're strong enough, you're going to have less problems there, which is going to prevent the dowager's hump and sort of that bent over old person look, which is going to accelerate your demise anyways, because you're not moving around the world and in your daily life in an optimal manner that is going to keep the organs functioning optimally, and that are going to allow you to actually get enough air in, so that's the oxygenation factor, and it's again just going to accelerate that what should be a slow decline, or if no decline at all, but it's going to accelerate that decline into a rapid sort of tailspin downward plunge. So another major longevity enhancing factor of strength training is the anabolic boost it gives your body. So all forms of strength training, but perhaps the most androgen building is interval training. It's going to be the boosting of things like human growth hormone, testosterone, DHEA in the body, and all these hormones associated with youth, libido, sexual vitality, and athleticism. Oh, and we'll say beauty as well, we have to throw that one in there. So when these hormones are high, we have optimal regeneration in our body, everything stays youthful, everything stays tight and uplifted, and there's not much else to say to it, but these are important things to maintain. Another factor that's important with strength training is that you're building your immune system if it's done in a way that's not overtraining. Any form of exercise that's done in the form of overtraining is going to be depressing and causing harm to your immune system and making you more susceptible to disease and illness and even the common cold and things like that. So there's a number of ways that strength training does this. One way is that you build bone density and your bone marrow can get thicker and more vibrant. And that, of course, is related to stem cells and the immune system and building white blood cells. And all these things will, in turn, enhance your immune system. So I just touched on another factor of strength training, and that's building bone density. And for women, this is the absolute most important thing to do as you get on in your years, is because it's notorious for women to lose bone density from the drop in progesterone, testosterone, and the other anabolic hormones. And that bone density is lost not so much from lack of calcium, and doctors dole out calcium needlessly for the majority of the part, but you actually need to follow Wolff's Law, which is the way that bone density is built, and that's only through resistance training. You know, people say go out for a walk, and that'll build your bone density in your hips, and it's really very minimal amount. It's better than nothing, but you really need to be lifting weight, whether it's your own body mass, actual free weight, using the machines at the gym. These things are imperative to keeping that high bone density throughout life, to keep it building as you get older, because you always want it going up, you never want it going down. And another factor of having a good amount of muscle mass on you is for every pound of muscle mass you have, roughly your body's going to need 100 calories per day to maintain that muscle mass. When you don't get enough calories, your body starts going to catabolism, you're going to be eating your own organs and muscle tissue and breaking down and taking the proteins from that, the fats in your body, and that's not ideal. So having enough muscle mass will do this and also help keep insulin down, because you have such a high amount of need for calories, and of course you can't be feeding yourself absolute crap to get these benefits, but through this we can see how this positively benefits insulin resistance and insulin utilization. So I hope I've piqued your interest in perhaps pursuing some sort of form of strength training, whether it's just moving your body mass, sort of a more intense form of yoga that might incorporate some body weight exercises, working with kettlebells, doing sort of some style of martial art that is got some component that is strength building to it. And one thing I wanted to remind you about was that there's still the discount sale going on over at Thrival. You can check out the link below to get over to that site and order any products that you're interested in using along with whatever program you're doing, whatever practice. And these are some of the best things for a strength practice because they're helping boost the anabolic hormones in the body in a very safe, natural, whole food form. And of course, these products are the colostrum, the deer antler velvet, and the pine pollen powder. And I've talked about those in past videos, and you can search them on YouTube. I've got links below to articles I've written. And I'll post the videos up here of the other things I've done about these products so you can learn more about them. So once you've gone over to the checkout and you've got whatever products you want, you just enter the coupon code YULE, Y-U-L-E, and that'll get you 15% off, and that's good till the end of January. So yes, you have some time, but do remember to do that if that's something you're wanting to do. It's a good time to stock up on these things because there's that good discount. Anyways, take care, and remember to embrace life without limits.